Pepper plants are perennials, but unfortunately they won't survive the winter in most places. So what I'm going to do today is get some of these dug up so we can get them indoors for the winter and hopefully get a head start on our peppers next year. I overwintered peppers for the first time last year and I made some mistakes, but I learned a lot. One thing I'm going to be doing differently is downsizing my pots dramatically. Last year I used pots like this. This year we're going with these. Having 8 or 10 plants in those big pots was very difficult to manage last year, and it also took a very long time for them to dry out between waterings when they were in the basement. So this year, getting them cut down to the smaller size and having them in the smaller pots, I think is going to make things a lot easier, make them a lot easier to care for. I'm going to start with the squash pepper, and I'm going to go ahead and get some of these branches trimmed off here before I start digging it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove the cage from this and get it dug up. So I'm going to remove all the leaves and the newer growth from this and just get it kind of pruned down right above these Ys. So I'm just trimming right above those first nodes on those Ys. Any new growth, new branches there, get rid of those. Then we'll go ahead and just remove the leaves. That's what we end up with. Some people will just put these in a pot with the dirt from the garden. Some people will leave the dirt on the roots and just put them in a pot with some fresh potting soil. I like to wash the roots off really well because I don't want to be bringing a bunch of bugs in the house. Now I'm gonna get these roots pruned up so it'll fit comfortably in this pot. Looks pretty good. I've got some soil in my pot here. It's fitting in there pretty well, and I'm just gonna start packing some soil around. And I just kind of work it down in there because I don't want to have any like voids in the roots. You can add some fertilizer in here if you want, but the soil that I'm using already has some in it. This is much better than what I had last year. I'm doing 8 plants this year, so I'm gonna go ahead and get those done, and then we're gonna get these in the basement. So I got all 8 of my peppers here. We're down in the basement, and this is the area that I have set up just for these this year. It stays around 50 degrees down here all winter, which is perfect because these aren't gonna wanna actively grow at that temperature, and we want these to stay pretty much dormant. We may get a little bit of growth, but that's fine. So I have my 2 grow lights up here. I have them as high as I can get them, and I'll have these on a timer to stay on for about 8 hours a day. If I notice these starting to want to actively grow, then I'll just cut that time back a little bit. So you want to keep these somewhere cool, and if you do have a window in your basement where they're going to get some indirect light, that should be plenty, but I don't have any windows down here, so I do have to use the lights. So I'll give these a little water probably every week or two, just depending. I'm going to make sure they're dried out completely before I do. And I'm not going to completely saturate the soil when I water them, just a little water, because I had a big problem with getting these to dry out after watering last year. And I think that took out several of my plants. If overwintering peppers is something you might be interested in trying and you'd like to follow the process here, make sure you go ahead and follow me because I will be posting updates throughout the winter on this.